Let's freaking go. So, obviously, this live stream is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to lie, because there is such a huge story that transcends just our LSU football bubble. And look, I'm making no mistake on this channel. We are an LSU football channel first, and LSU football actually is involved with this pretty big story involving Will Wade and his firing. And to think that football doesn't have anything to do with what happened to Will Wade is very short-sighted. So I'm just going to be as honest as I possibly can just off the start right here on this live stream. You should be just a little bit worried about what happened as far as LSU football is concerned today regarding the notice of allegations with Will Wade and his firing. Now, will I go over a few candidates that I think LSU should at least think about? Yeah, absolutely. We will get to that in today's live stream. Also, on this live stream, something else that I want to touch on today, and this goes for anyone that's out there, is this reality that Will Wade was this huge, unbelievably talented coach. We're going to dispel that myth as well. And I'm not just kicking on his grave. Once again, I'm just the LSU football guy, but my parents are LSU basketball season ticket holders. I've covered LSU basketball plenty of times before. Whether you go all the way back to the Rudy Macklin days, which I wasn't around for, or even more recent history, obviously the Marcus Thornton teams and whoever you want to mention, right? It's pretty crazy to think of Will Wade as this coach that LSU cannot improve upon. So obviously we're going to get to all of that today. We say hi to Jesse. We say hi to Skipper. The president of PHL is in this thing. Do you think the players will respond in the NCAA tournament? I am going to rely heavily on Caucus because he actually played basketball at an extremely high level. I think he played in college. We say hi to Rob. We say hi to LSU fan. We say hi to Johnny Five and Woodward. We trust. Hey's in the house. Queen of PHL is in here. Gotta love it. Let's see here. I want to say hi to everyone. What's up, James? If you want to be a player, then you have to play the game. Wade just got his hands in the cookie jar. He wasn't doing anything every other big time program does. Don't kid yourself. That's true. Okay. So, first thing is, do I think what Will Wade did is this nefarious criminal act? No, but at the same time, we can acknowledge some people that were involved in this FBI wiretap is in prison themselves. So, look, it wasn't anything horrible. I find, the one thing, I don't cover college basketball closely enough, but I am shocked how much jail time has been doled out to people involved with all of this, right? So, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. This whole thing is kind of weird, right? To where the Federal Bureau of Investigation gets involved with this wiretapping Johnny Dawkins or Christian Dawkins, whatever scandal. It's strange, right? And I don't think many of us in here are like super diehard college basketball people, but at the same time, is all of this really anything to get in arms over, especially now in the it's in the day of name, image, and likeness? No, it's not. But it does make the university look bad, right? And one thing we cannot deny is right now, LSU is not, as far as a PR viewpoint of this athletics program, it's not been a pleasant last year, right? It really hasn't, whether it's from the actual nefarious acts or something like this, or whether it be handing a coach $17 million just to walk away from a program and all this buyout money and the money, promised to this person and that person. It's a very strange thing, right? So I think for me, it's just one of those things where, yeah, all coaches cheat. I still think what could happen to Bill Self is still out there, but the NCAA is more than likely to go after LSU before they go after Kansas in basketball. So I do agree with you, James. Let's be honest, brands matter when it comes to this stuff. I mean, I still never have heard what actually happened in North Carolina regarding those fake ACT scores, right? Atomic Shark believes Coach K will unretire and go to LSU. I love that. And this is also something else, right? He used his personal account to pay these guys. No, Chris, that is not true. This is actually to add on to your point, though, here, Chris. It wasn't just his personal account, it was a joint account with his wife, which to me is even sloppier, right? Like I just I let's be honest, bringing your wife involved in this is just kind of strange. It really is. But still, is what he did the end of the world? No. I saw so many people, getting up in arms about the payment to the player's fiance. So, for those that didn't read the report earlier today, Will Wade paid off a fiance, essentially hush money, and helped her buy a car. Okay, at least that is a semi noble act, right? Car payments could be ridiculous. So it's crazy. This whole thing is crazy. Now, once again, we are an LSU football channel. What should we make of this as far as LSU football is concerned? Well, the first thing is today further proved that we are still a far way away from being a basketball school. Okay. Part of the reason why Will Wade got fired today is to help our image when it comes to potential future penalties surrounding our football program. So I do believe that to be true. I do believe that is part of the reason why President Tate and more notably Scott Woodward decided to make that move. So, I still stand by that Will Wade didn't do anything too serious. It was none of this is as bad as the allegations surrounding Les Miles, and this was just pay for play. Whether it be Javante Smart or anyone else, it was a mess. Will Wade was really sloppy with this cheating, and that is ultimately what cost him this opportunity to continue to be the LSU basketball coach. Also, something else was a relatively abrasive nature surrounding Will Wade. Now, if you are a Will Wade stan and you are a Will Wade super fan, guess what? That abrasive nature is something that you gravitate towards, right? So the bottom line, and I got to do this. I've been waiting for the day here. LJ made a comeback. Wait, I think I saw LJ in here. There he is. This is what I've always waited for. Okay. The caucus, his PHL t-shirt photo with the cards in hand. Okay. And then Skipper back to back. Look at this. Rocking the shirt and the cards. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Huh? Hey, Skipper's one of our viewers who we'll get to meet here in a few weeks. Looking forward to it. I don't even know what there is to do in past Christian, Mississippi. Now I know I'm going to be busy because I'm in a wedding there. But Skipper, we got to figure out this timeline. I don't even know what the timeline is, but I've got to meet you, man. I've got to meet you, man. So we then get to the 10-minute mark, right? You guys know that there's always like a little bit of a twist at the 10-minute mark where we talk about the big story. Now, Before we do that, once again, if you are new to the channel, please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. We are LSU football focused 99.9% of the time until you get a big story such as this one. We probably won't lead with LSU basketball again until Kim Mulkey wins us the mother effing national championship here in a few weeks. Now, let's do it, Kim. I believe in you, Kim. Show them what it's about. So, hit them with the 10-minute mark is where the top story has a little twist. Okay. And this is something that a lot of us, this is something that I feel a lot of people have failed to mention surrounding Will Wade. Okay. If he were winning at a high enough level, he would still be the coach. He would still be the coach. If we beat Michigan and make it to a Final Four or make it to a Sweet 16 and have a tooth and nail battle to the Elite Eight, I feel as if he would still be the coach. I'd feel he'd still be the coach. Okay. Here's the thing, right? College football and college athletics is not a morality business. It never has been and never will be. And oftentimes, as sports fans, we don't turn to sports for morality. Now, it's not to say that there aren't many of great life lessons that you can learn from sports, right? Such as, the video of Steph Curry going up to the little girl from Denver who missed her. She missed him playing the first time in Denver, and he was able to meet with her and all that stuff. There's a lot of good morals you can learn from sports, but ultimately, sports is not a morality-based business. It's just not, right? If Will Wade had not had a major hitch in his actual coaching, we would have a different discussion surrounding the program right now. Okay. And this is why. Okay. This is why it's so important because, I'm not a basketball expert, right? I've covered the game. I grew up on the NBA. The NBA was my favorite thing as a kid. I grew up a Jordan guy. Me and my dad will watch NBA, and I picked up on strategies. And there was a piece of me that wanted, to play a long time. Basketball is the one sport I never gave up as a child, in other words, right? So while I don't talk much basketball, I am very passionate about it. And I know a decent amount about basketball strategy. But here's the thing. You don't have to know a whole lot about basketball strategy to know that LSU basketball, while they were always very talented because of the recruiting that Will Wade was able to do, and to me, it wasn't that they never really played. Like, I always thought that they played hard. It's just there was always an issue with the team playing a full 40-minute game. Whether it be early in games, they would give up too many easy baskets, or later in games, they would give up too many easy baskets. And you saw this consistently from this team. This was something that goes more than just a year of coaching, if you get what I'm saying. So this isn't me saying Will Wade is just this awful coach. As we get our first super chatter of the evening, Creek Dweller, it's not as if I'm not saying Will Wade's a bad coach. It's just something that was always there with this team. It just was. Whether it didn't matter which roster you actually had, there would be long periods of time where LSU would lose focus and the other team would go on a long run. And the next thing you know, the game's over, right? Perfect example, this was Michigan last year. We were outplaying them. We were hitting tougher shots. We were making baskets. And it's just, pretty simple. We could not find a way to get stops. We could not find ways to generate offense, right? So once again, I'm not the basketball X's and O's expert. You're not going to ever, look at me and say that is Ed Cooley right there, or that is Brad Stevens or whoever, whichever X and O mastermind you can think of. I'm not that, if you get what I'm saying. But to me, college basketball oftentimes comes down to, can you make the other team beat you? So in-game adjustments were always a thing with Will Wade. It wasn't his strength. It just wasn't. And I think that is partially why he is no longer the coach, right? In order for a school to justify keeping you during a tumultuous time, you need to be transcendent on the court. Will Wade was really good on the court. He would be a perennial 20 plus win winner in a really difficult conference. And one thing we saw today, and once again, it's going to suck because we've been dealing with this over the past year, but what Jimbo Fisher has done for LSU, for Texas A&M football, you saw today, Buzz Williams has been the best coach in the SEC of the past month, getting Texas A&M on track. That's another great coach in this conference. Buzz Williams is one of the most talented coaches in the country. And the SEC is a very difficult basketball conference now, and there are a lot of masterful in-game strategists in this conference now. And Rick Barnes will probably get into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Uh, Calipari definitely will. He already is, actually. Then you have Arkansas with Musselman, and you have all these other great basketball coaches. This gives LSU an opportunity to go after a couple of big names. And I'm going to give you one name a little bit later in this live stream that might shock some of you, but I think that is going to be the big fish that our dear beloved Scott Woodward's going to go after. Now, this is the fun part. We welcome in Big Al. We welcome in Banghammers. Reed's been cheating on me with other LSU YouTube channels, which is fine. I always say support all my other friends that have YouTube channels. I said Reed's made his way back. Jesse, $40 for a shirt that also comes with cards. I'll also hook you up. I got some really good Leonard Fournette cards here, Jesse. I'll hook you up. So there you go. You know what, LJ? I would not be opposed to this. Why not? I think Kim Mulkey is actually the perfect coach to do the crossover. I have no idea why this has never been tried, right? Like, there's plenty of men that coach women's basketball. Why can't a woman coach men's? And this isn't some kind of, I'm not just saying this just to say this. There are a ton of women that would have been way better men's coaches than a lot of men coaches that continuously get opportunities to make millions of dollars coaching men's basketball. But Kim Mulkey, she's not going to leave, the women's side. But, I'm kind of shocked Becky Hammond hadn't had an NBA job yet. But still, I know that's going to get thrown around a lot. Well, why don't we have Kim Mulkey coach both? Or why don't we try and get her to coach them in? I think she could do it. I think she would win big, obviously, because she is obviously a transcendent talent, and she's, one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time, which is why Michael Jordan introduced her for the Hall of Fame. I just don't think she's going to leave, the men's game. Let's see here. Go to Creek Super Chat here to put things in perspective here. Like cheating as a husband, never get caught with a person uglier than your wife. Will Wade got caught cheating and not winning games. So, yeah, this is basically true. Also, as far as wives are concerned, when you are doing impermissible benefits, don't put your wife's name on the bank account as well, right? It's better to just have your name on it than to have your wife's bank account name on it. And then according to, Brody Miller of The Athletic, read his story before I came on here, reread it twice. I was shocked to see this, that Will Wade, as far as the investigation was concerned, said, well, I don't keep up, with our joint bank account. My wife does. So It's part of it. Go to CJ here. Welcome to the channel, CJ. Everyone give CJ a warm welcome. We have CJ. We also have a bunch of dogs. We have all dog avatars now, which of course I know you guys are new to the channel. That makes me really happy. We're dog first channel here. You heard any names out there to make sense to be our next coach? Here's what we'll do. Brian Kelly DeCote, welcome to the channel. CJ, welcome to the channel. The treasurer of PHL, Big Al, will give you a warm welcome in just a second. He is normally our warm welcome guy. I know Scott Drew's name is going to get mentioned because there was that report. Um, there was that report out there with Scott Drew looking at the Georgia opening. Um, I think he would take Georgia before he would take LSU because he doesn't want to deal with what LSU has coming to it. And look, it could be a postseason ban of 2 or 3 years, right? Look at it this way. All right. I think the punishment can be way harsher than what we're all imagining for this reason. The NCAA has always been a farce to everyone, right? They've been inconsistent with their punishments. And here in a few years, they might cease to exist with name, image, and likeness and the SEC breaking off or whatever hypothetical you want to throw out there. So the NCAA knows their days could be numbered. So as one final act, they could make LSU an example. And something else about it, and this is something that's very key, all right? The NCAA doesn't care about public perception, but they do care about it when public perception is on their side, okay? Perfect example here is LSU. We are the biggest LSU fans on the planet, right? The 78 of you watching, and hopefully all the people that are new subscribing, you understand that you're a diehard LSU football fan, and these 3 letters mean the absolute world to you. Now, this is what's really key, okay? Public perception is not on our side. It's not. It's not. Right now, with what is already out there about our football program, also, I'm just going to throw it out there. Some former disgraced LSU football players started tweeting again. Not going to say his name because it's not worthy of another discussion. You just have all these different things, right? You have all this different mess. Some very serious in nature, as far as covering up sexual abuse, covering up verbal abuse, covering up very creepy, weird behavior, all the way to stuff that is not as serious as nature, such as this Will Wade stuff, paying recruits and all of that. You have, coaches with, you know, different shenanigans happening off the field. Right now, people don't view us in a positive light. They just don't. All the goodwill and magic surrounding our program in the eyes of the public after 2019 is just kind of faded away. Right. And so many people view our program now as this, you know, craziness. Like it's amazing how many texts I get from friends of mine in the SEC that cover SEC sports that I've met over the years. They're like, what the heck is a circus going on there with LSU? Right. Now, we know it's not as bad as one would make it out to be. And it honestly probably isn't. But public perception is more important than anything else sometimes. And I could see the NCAA saying, look, the public is on our side, and we could, you know, give LSU basketball a 4-year postseason ban. Would not shock me. Would not shock me. I think next year there's no way we're going to get to play postseason basketball. And if you're a coach like say, Scott Drew, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to go somewhere where you don't even know what the punishments are going to be? Mick's wife is out of town. Uh-oh, watch out. Oh, is Danny Girl in here? Let me see. Let me see. Oh, there she is. If I'm a Muslim, I'm laughing so hard right now. He was passed up for weight and not only beat him 3 times, but now this. Man, I wish we had Eric Musselman. He's a world class coach. I know he got his butt beat down today, but that was an A&M team that needed to win to get into the tournament today. They really needed to win to get in. According to Joe Lenardi, A&M was the first 4 out, so they knew they had to win. I mean, they lost 8 consecutive games this year. All right, so let's do this. This is what I love about Brett. Brett buys merch. Brett super chats, but this is most importantly, okay? It's what I love about Brett, okay? Brett always comes in with heat. All right. We have a lot of good commenters. Brett's moving up the list. We got some really good commenters in here. All right. Honestly, most of our commenters actually have really good thought provoking stuff. We don't have many trolls. We don't have many or we don't have many super biased LSU fans that think, you know, the entire world is out to get us, which sometimes that is justified way of thinking, especially with the way some of LSU's basketball games were officiated. Also, I will say this. The one thing Will Wade does have a legit gripe about is LSU getting an 8 seed in the NCAA tournament last year. That was the biggest crock of you know what, right? I mean, we were a bucket away from winning the SEC championship. I thought we were no lower than a 6 last year. So let's do this. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Do you think Scott Woodward already has his guy lined up for the next job? Like he has a top 2 list that he feels pretty certain he can get. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Because Brett, with his 12-foot bass here, his Yao Ming size bass here, Danny says no. What's up, Rob? Rob, let's go. SNL SMP, thank you for your super chat last live stream. Rob, another Rob, let's go. Hit him with that. Feeling good tonight, guys. Feeling good tonight. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hit him with that. That's a redfish. I knew Jason would come out of the shadows to say, Carter, we got to take you fishing so we can teach you what an actual fish looks like. And I know I shouldn't feel good. Today's a sad day for LSU athletics, right? I think Will Wade is a net positive. As far as his actual coaching is concerned, I know I was critical of his on-court coaching, but let's just say you take everything out of the equation, right? Getting LSU basketball to the NCAA tournament every year when we are not a basketball school, I'm fine with that. I'm honestly fine with that. Now, would I like an Elite 8, Final 4 once every 10 years? Yeah, I think that would be a pretty fun standard to have. But I think 20 wins in the NCAA tournament, I'm fine with that. So I hate the fact that Will Wade got canned because I think he was a fine basketball coach with on-court flaws, but as we see, far more off-court flaw. Jason going to the Hall of Fame in Canton. You'll see me there one day, baby. Cliff holding it down for Catholic High. Woodward's track record shows he doesn't have to make a move without the next move lined up. Somebody drug my Zima tonight? No, but tonight I need to switch over to my new PHL mug. Let's go. You guys want to see the new PHL mug again that my guy Chris made me? Ah! I'm just feeling good, man. Life is grand. We're just hanging out. 83 of us during the off season. It's a blessing I get to do this. I get to hang out with you guys for a living. We have a lot of Robs in here. What do you think about it though? Rob's a pretty important name, right? You Always Sunny in Philadelphia fans. You know how important Robs are, right? That's a deep cut right now. I don't know why I was thinking of that, Rob, out of all people. Also, if you're a Lakers fan, where would you be without the greatest Laker of them all, Robert Horry? Where would you be? Somebody text Jay Hill right now and tell him I said that. The greatest Laker of all time is Big Shot Bob. And who's to say that I would never say anything so nice about an Alabama Crimson Tide legend? But it's Robert Horry. LJ, this is funny. LJ's back, guys and gals. Go get a Calipari assistant. We know they could cheat without getting caught. There you go. LJ, super chat. Will Wade for governor. Love it. So here's what I'll do. Okay. There's one A-list candidate that I think LSU could go after as far as basketball is concerned. And it makes sense. Okay. Both professionally and personally, I think that they could go after. But what we'll do is obviously people want to get on over to football, and that's what we're going to do. I know, this is sports media 101, right? You never leave a hot topic. And most of you want to talk about LSU basketball because it is a coach firing. And coach firings is what moves the needle the most in college athletics. But I'm the LSU football channel. So we are going to move on to football, but here's what I'll do. Okay. I've said my piece on Will Wade. I hate that he's fired. He was obviously really sloppy on court as far as on court adjustments. Off the court, he also had his issues as well, as we learned today. Everything about it was sloppy, and he didn't do himself any favors. And in fact, he was very lucky to last as long as he did. I think some of that had to do with an athletic director change. Some of that had to do with a lot of things surrounding LSU football at the time. And once again, football is, by far our number one priority. I also think LSU athletics was more tied up with, other coaches who had been there for a long period of time that they were thinking about moving on from as well. There was a lot that was on Scott Woodward's plate, and they were waiting for a reason to fire a coach for free. I think that's part of the reason why. And it worked out for both, right? Will Wade mostly got fired for the wiretapping thing, and that there's no other way around that. Will Wade got a few other nice fat salaries to go along with it. Now it sucks he doesn't get his buyout, whatever. So here's what we'll do. All right. Here's what we'll do. If I get a super chat to go back to LSU basketball, I will go back to LSU basketball. But I do want to get to LSU football because, that's what we do here. Okay? Anything but basketball, let's talk defense. So let's talk about some LSU defense. Bang, I'm going to let you choose what aspect of LSU defense you want me to talk about. I'll go straight to it. Right when you say whichever aspect of LSU defense, I'll go straight to it. What's going to talk about anything LSU defense-wise, right? I could talk about Jamar Cain and the good I think he's going to do with this program and our defensive line. I know Andre Carter was a very popular person on this channel, and he did a lot of good work, getting Mason and Jaquelin to another level this year. But Bang Hammers wants to talk about the secondary. So let's talk about the secondary. So the first thing, obviously, going into the spring is how are the players going to react from a non-Corey Raymond coach coaching up the secondary, right? Corey Raymond, whenever he took over at LSU, there were a lot of things that were going in his favor when he took over the secondary. The first thing is that Corey Raymond is from Louisiana. He went to New Iberia. He also played in the NFL. Okay. So, number one is that it wasn't as big of a transition when Corey Raymond jumped over from, I believe, Nebraska, where he was at, to come to LSU and just take over the secondary. Also, he had familiarity with a lot of the players because he was also a strength and conditioning coach for a few years at LSU. So the first thing regarding the secondary here, Bang Hammers, is that this is going to be the first time in a long time LSU has secondary coaches that don't really have ties to anything regarding LSU, which is fine. Once again, that might actually be a positive. But understand that's a transition that Corey Raymond is not going to be around there anymore. So to me, that's the biggest story as far as coaching is concerned, more so him not being there. I do think Kerry Coates and Robert Steeples are going to do just fine. Obviously, this is a very interesting position. I also think coaching the secondary is very difficult to judge because so much of what the secondary has to do comes down to the calls that the defensive coordinator has to make. I think both of them are going to be fine, but ultimately the success of your secondary comes down to who's actually calling the shots. And that, of course, is Matt House. Okay. So there you have it. LJ says Corey Raymond's overrated. I could see that over the past couple of seasons, but I can't say that overall. I thought he was a really good coach. But, at the same time, I understand Corey Raymond is heavily associated with DBU, as he should be. But, there were so many all-time great defensive backs that played under Ron Cooper and never played under Corey Raymond. So, whether that be Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, Corey Webster, uh, whoever, there were a lot of great defensive backs before Corey Raymond took over in 2012. So, that's the first big thing is that, Corey's not going to be there. I thought Corey was a great coach. I think he actually landed in a spot that's going to suit him really well because Florida was an area that he dominated in recruiting. Now, how are the new guys going to do? I think they're going to do fine. I do. Now, as far as personnel is concerned, as far as the secondary is going to line up, I think the most likely scenario is Jarek Bernard-Converse will start just simply from his overall experience. Now, I understand that he's not going to be like, a Stingley top 10 pick, Patrick Peterson level talent, but he's really good. He's definitely better than serviceable if you're an all Big 12 performer, right? And the Big 12 every year has really good wide receivers. So I think Bernard-Converse is going to do fine. The answer is, who is that other corner going to be? I do think Jay Ward makes a move back from safety to corner. I don't know how anyone else I don't know how anyone else would think that Jay Ward should stay at safety. I know some people will say, well, he probably just needs another year. It was a new position. I just never thought that suited him. He started turning the corner, pun intended, playing corner towards the end of 2020, where he had a pick six versus Ole Miss. And when he played the slot against Kadarius Toney did not light us up as much in that Florida game for 2020. So, for me, shout out to Dwayne. He joined the PHL T-shirt club. Shout out to you, Dwayne. I really appreciate your friendship, your cash apps, all that stuff, man. I really do appreciate you joining the big time T-shirt club. And if you want to join the T-shirt club, all you got to do is follow the instructions on the bottom scroll. And as many of you know, with every order, we always like to give out a bunch of cards. We just gave out a LeBrandon Tofield card to someone that ordered a shirt. We had a lot actually ordered just recently, and I might as well just do this. I don't give these out too often. I actually took this one out of the sleeve to give out tonight. How about a Joe Burrow card right here? That goes to the next t-shirt order right there. Once again, not a short print Joe Burrow card, but it's still a Burrow card. Agree. I think Raymond was a great coach. Think he might have got too comfortable. Maybe keep the secondary convo going and QB room next. Get Z a few biscuits on me. So I'll touch on this. It was a super chat. Why would any great coach come to LSU knowing LSU is going to get plastered with the violation? Totally agree with that, SMP. Once again, though, I won't go too deep into it. I've already, done some basketball stuff. But what I'll do, SMP, is I'll get back to Will Wade in just a second. Thank you for your generosity. Good to have you on the channel. I agree. The Scott Drew nonsense has got to stop. It's not going to happen. It's not. Okay. I would love it, but I don't know why he would leave Baylor. I know he said that he's worried about the Big 12, but still. Keep the secondary convo going and then get to the quarterback room next, so we'll keep it going. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Okay. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Should Jay Ward stay at safety? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I love Michael's doggos. Mo Funky saying nice doggos. I love it. All right. Bang Hammer says Jarek Bernard Converse and Garner the transfer from UL, Nickel, Jay Ward, Burns Fuchsia, free safety and strong safety Sage, and Harold Perkins. Very interesting. Bang says no. Dang, SMP is the only one who thinks Jay Ward should stay at safety. RSX, who also joined the T-shirt club. Cheers to you, my friend. Also said that Jay Ward should make the move back. Fetty! What's up, buddy? Fetty, the official handle expert of PHL. Let's go. Let's go. I love it. It's still so great. I really like Ward, but he wasn't the same after he got truck sticked. Yeah, I mean, that's still the hardest I've seen a safety get truck sticked. Right? I remember, when Jamal Adams, he would occasionally get truck sticked, and it would be rare, but he would pop back up, and the running back would look like the one that was injured, and he was the one that was that would run over Jamal Adams. I'm telling you, man, we don't appreciate Jamal Adams enough. I'm dead serious. Like, man, he was just so great. Jamal Adams was so freaking good. I miss him too, especially knowing that, our safety play being the way that it is now. So yeah, I think Jay Ward moves back the corner. I do. I think Joe, type Y for yes, type in for no. Official candle NIL. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Is Joe Fuchsia a starter? Type Y for yes, type in for no. The transfer from Arkansas. Oh, come on. Jamal Adams was better than Landon Collins. And I'm not just, you guys know, like I'll be honest. I'll be honest if a Bama player is better than an LSU player. I'll be completely honest. I still think Jamal Adams was better than Landon Collins. Now, was he better than Minka Fitzpatrick? No, but he was better than Landon Collins. Got a lot of yeses. There's Aaron. I saw you in here. Let's go. What, Aaron? We got to check in on the Master Blaster. We do. We got to check in on the Master. I can't even say it unless he's in here. There you go, Sif. Good to see you. I think Joe's going to start. I do. I think he starts at one of the safety positions. He's got too much SEC experience at this point to not. Now, you know, how much better? We don't know. But he was better. He was better. No, I got mixed up in my mind there. It was Chad Jones. Chad Jones was better than Jamal Adams and Landon Collins. That's tough. I mean, Chad was a better cover guy than Jamal Adams. And Chad had better ball skills than Jamal Adams. But, I mean, Jamal Adams was just transcendent. I mean, he really was. I mean, he's better than Tyler Harris. Yeah, I think Joe's going to be one of the safeties. I do. I think you could kind of pencil that in, right? Now, where does Greg Brooks fit into all of this? Could Greg Brooks and Joe be the safeties next year? I could see that. But then again, it also comes down. Let's do this. Since Banghammer wants to talk more about the secondary. And we'll get to the quarterback room in just a second. We've talked to a lot of quarterbacks. Type Y for yes, type in for no. We just hit 100 viewers. Pretty excited about that. In the off season, it's tough to get 100 on lives. Okay. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Is Sage Ryan a starter next year? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Todd Harris could start. Hit him with it. Hit him with it. That was my favorite Instagram dance I saw. Hit him with it. Hit him with it. I can't do the IG dances. I just love it. Well, Brandon says no to Sage Ryan starting. Skipper says yes. Once again, I don't do a good enough job of this. Hit the like button. It's good for the algo. The algo. Like, totally, it's good for the algorithm. The algorithm. And here's the thing. If you don't hit the like button, for me to get better with the algorithm, I'm going to have to, start posting my bikini pics. And because sex sells, right? So if you don't hit the like button, I don't know if you guys want to see that. That's why you got to do it. And if you haven't subscribed and rang the bell, what's going to happen to us? Brett's on the Sage train. Chris is not on the Sage train for starter next year. Yes. Reed, I forgot Reed's the president of the Todd Harris fan club. $100 super chat to not post bikini photos. You see, that's what I should do. I should do the opposite. Let the dance floor put some tunes on. Wayne says yes to Sage Ryan. Please hit the like button. Don't forget, once again, I still can't believe this. I still have it right here. Next hundo dollar super chatter gets that Leonard Fournette jersey card. The bottom of a number 7 goes to you. No, Reed, just I know what you said. You're just fronting your love for Todd Harris. This Oh, Mick is a Derek Davis believer. I like that. I hope DDJ balls out. Shedrick, I love that name. What's up, Shed? Such a great name. Shedrick. So good. Huh? 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 Oh man. We will not turn this into a Sean Payton chat. Okay. We're not gonna talk Sean Payton tonight. Well, you want to get a bunch of people fired up in here. They already lost. It is kind of crazy though. If you are a Saints fan, imagine like before the UCLA game, you were told Will Wade, Sean Payton, and Ed Orgeron would all be out of a job. And this was just months after Palminieri got replaced. That's why there's nothing like sports, man. There's nothing like it. Like, I mean, nothing's like it. I can go to an Avengers movie. I know how it's going to end. I can watch, Law and Order and Special Victims Unit. And I know Ice-T is going to have a bewildered look on his face at some point during the episode. Sports, you can't write this stuff. You would have never have thought that. You would have never have thought that. And who did the Ice-T joke? Was that John Mulaney who did the Ice-T joke? There was someone who did a really good joke about Ice-T on. I think it was Mulaney. Cliff, spoken like a true Cowboys fan. I got to say, Mike McCarthy is probably a bottom 5 NFL coach right now. I'm serious. I would take all the guys that were just hired over Mike McCarthy. He said my thing, like I'm going to the principal's office. Shit! You're being called to Miss Crabapple's office. Shedrick. Would Shedrick Howard please come to the principal's office? Bang says Malik is going to be that guy. Jeff, welcome. Creek did super chat a little bit earlier, so we'll talk a little bit about Tyler Steen. I know he's on his visit for this weekend. I still think he has an Alabama visit, and anytime Alabama's in the race that late in the process, it's going to come down to does that player want to play for Nick Saban or not? So it is what it is. LJ, I'm not going to talk about that name, but if you do super chat, I'll talk about that name. Because you know that's also a name that can derail a chat. LJ's been around too often. For me to do it. Actually, LJ, you did super chat via Venmo, the preferred way to do it. So we'll talk some Cardell Thomas, right? Why not? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Cardell Thomas will start next season. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Okay. Dang, no Cardell believers in here. We're just talking about, Chad Jones, Southern Lab grade. TDP just had, a great career and a great combine. No love for Cardell in here. I do agree with Caucus here. I think, we're going to be seeing more of a rotation. And I think Cardell will play. I think if he really wants to stay with the program, he'll find his way on field goal block or field goal protection, and he'll play. All right. So there you go, LJ. Hopefully I fulfilled your Venmo talking about Cardell Thomas. I love me some Cardell. Look, I understand the main reason we talk about him is all the millions of YouTube views he has amassed. Now, let me give you a little bit of a history, on Cardell Thomas. So I did a deep dive on him last year, and what was crazy to me is how viral he went on YouTube. There is no offensive lineman that has gone viral the same way he went viral, where he was just pancaking guys at these camps. So he really was a unicorn, right? He had 5 different videos where he was the main subject that crossed over 1 million views. Okay. So just for reference, there's a YouTuber whose name is Potato Jet, and he is one of the best camera reviewers, right? So when I bought this camera, months ago, I was using his reviews, and he probably makes, I would say, 500K a year from YouTube. He's never had a video cross 1 million views. I think he's about to touch 1 million subscribers. I don't think he's ever had a video over 1 million views. So it's hard to get 1 million views. And Cardell was a viral sensation. And what's really interesting about him, and I slobbered a little bit, that's kind of, you know, embarrassing. But what's really interesting about that is, he was a force. He was a force to be reckoned with. So Cardell, he was just too big when he got to LSU. And, he had the injury, and, there was just too much hype surrounding an offensive lineman. So I hated that. Um, and look, for him to find a way to eventually be a starter towards the end of last year, I give him a lot of credit. I do. Drink up. Joe Burrow's not going to lose his Heisman for that. You'll be just fine. I think if that were to happen, I think an LSU fan would burn down the NCAA headquarters if that happened. You don't touch something that's sacred, right? You don't. And look, I understand the national championship. I felt pretty good about us winning, beating Oklahoma and finding a way to win this thing. I did. Where I was the most nervous was before the Alabama game. But this is going to sound kind of weird, but when Joe Burrow won the Heisman, I was just as happy then as I was when we actually won the championship, because it was just so unique. We had never had that happen, and we might have to wait another 50 years for that to happen again. But we won't, because in 3 years Walker Howard's gonna. I'm kidding. So There's going to be someone that cuts that clip and says, LSU YouTuber spits out Walker Howard hot take. Ha, ha, ha. So be it. But I don't think you have to worry about that. You look happy, Caucus. Caucus is always happy, man. You want to know why Caucus looks happy? I have to say this. So you guys see Skipper. I put Skipper up on the screen a lot. I put Caucus up on the screen. Do you notice the smiles in their PHL shirt? Okay. Do you notice that? The shirt is of the softest material you will ever feel. I promise you the shirts are high quality, right? My distributor only has the best material. I don't know what accent that was, but I just wanted to sound like a mafioso or something like that. My distributor, I have my sources. um, yeah, so you should get a shirt. That's why you should get a shirt. It goes a long way. It makes you feel great. All right, so Bang did ask to talk about the quarterback room. But before we do this, not even gonna lie, probably my comfiest shirt. I like that. So let's go to let's put up a new poll question for Bang Hammers. There we go. I know a guy. Huh? 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 Once again, I would once again there they are back to back. You can't beat that right there. Look, I want you to see their smiles. Here's the thing I like. Skipper got his magical beard and the Billy Cannon card, but he had to do it with the selfie, right? Caucus got someone else to take the photo so he can get all of the cards in there that I sent him, including one of my Tyron Matthew rookie tickets. Actually, it wasn't a rookie ticket. It's still a college ticket. It looked pretty cool. Skipper was a pirate in a previous life. He might be. Skipper's facial hair is magical. It really is. Uh, Walker Howard will start next year. Creek, that's bold. Caucus always makes some of the best points. Caucus has also been around college athletics for a long time. So he's got a better idea of how the inner workings work than a lot of us. Am I going to the spring game? So I will say this, right? I can't say too much, but I am working on something pretty cool for the spring game. Now, does that involve me actually going to the game or not? I would like to. Uh, but we have something really cool that we're working on with the channel, and it actually is really big. So I can't speak on it now, uh, but it may involve me actually going to the spring game. I would like to, but for right now, the one thing that you should be planning on, and I'm working on this right now. This is kind of new to me, but doing an event where all of us can get together. We are currently working on the season opener game in Florida State. Now, obviously, I wish in a perfect world I can get everyone a ticket to the game, but we are working on a party, right, where we can all get together, hang out. I get to meet most of you guys and gals, and yeah, LJ, you're definitely up there. One of the people I definitely want to meet. Caucus Creek, all of you guys, it's definitely key, right? I'm super excited. I get to meet Skipper here in a few weeks. I'm not lying about that. It's really cool to get to see people and meet them in person. Uh, I've been in the spot before where I used to do radio, and you wouldn't actually meet the people that would like call into the shows and stuff like that. And when you meet them, it just feels really cool. So obviously, most of the stuff is just me on the screen and all that stuff. But I love going out and doing stuff, and I can't wait for that. So as far as like PHL get-togethers and all of that, once again, I'm really excited about New Orleans and the season opener. So let's see. You can't miss me. I'm 6'2". I'm better looking than 3 movie stars. 3. Oh, I have to know which 3. Uh, is it Steve Buscemi? Is that one of them? Because that guy is one of the weirdest looking guys ever. Now, he is also one of my favorite actors. So Banks says, I don't love the LSU quarterback situation. So I'm really excited he brought that up. All right. I started doing a deep dive and I found an interesting piece of research surrounding Power Five quarterbacks and their development. And the one thing that I saw, and it was research from a writer named Chris with the Campus to Canton. His name is Chris Mosley. And what his studies showed was more often than not, if a quarterback is good or not when they start in year 2 of their development. So, in other words, you normally, if a Power 5 quarterback starts in year 2 of their development and he sucks, more than likely he's going to suck. So, if you are a Texas A&M fan, you got Max Johnson from the transfer portal. He was 27 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's great window dressing, but he had a really bad QBR. What Chris Mosley's study showed is that QBR is actually pretty constant. The only major jump in QBR happens when a quarterback starts as a true freshman and jumps up year 2 as a year 2 starter. So, what's very interesting about that is that I reached out to the writer and I said, look, it's kind of hard to judge that at LSU and at bigger programs because a lot of big programs have very talented guys. And he and I started discussing and researching this together. And this was actually before the live stream. So I'd read some Will Wade stuff and then I saw the study and I reached out to him and he said, what's interesting about it is, schools like LSU and Alabama where they have so much talent, it takes longer for you to actually get on the field. So, look, could we see, just some magical jump from Garrett Nussmeier as a first year starter this year if he were to be the guy? Maybe, but what his study showed is that year 2, we kind of know who they are, right? And that makes sense because, look, a lot of LSU starters that were forced to start in year 2 weren't good, and they never turned out to be good. And that's exactly what his study showed. right? So we'll see. Now, what's very interesting is Jaden Daniels had some regression this past year, but it goes back to this point that I made in the Jaden Daniels interception film study. If you haven't seen it, all you got to do, if you're watching on YouTube right now and you're tired of me talking and you want to watch some Jaden Daniels film, we have not one but two Jaden Daniels film studies that you can watch. Okay. So if you click Power Hour LSU, if you're watching this on a TV or whatever, you can pull them up right now and watch them. And this is one point I would make is Jane Daniels was really good up until Arizona State had two losses. And that was when the team kind of gave up because they had playoff aspirations. And once you have that second loss, your season's over. It just is. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Was Steve Buscemi one of the guys that you're thinking of? Nucky Thompson. I'm not holding anything against Jane Daniels because Herm Edwards was his coach. I could see that. Roger Dodger. That's kind of funny. Jaden Daniels is from California. He has the goods. It's true. You know, a lot of the great quarterbacks. San Bernardino, to be exact. I like it. JD would literally have to get hurt or completely fumble the bag not to start week one. Interesting, Pegasus. So you are that much of a non-Miles Brennan believer. So that's the interesting thing, Banghammers. JD 2019 QBR was 64. His 2020 QBR was 88, but that was a super small sample of 4 games. And then his 2021 QBR was 67, which obviously isn't good. But I go back to this. Up until after the Utah game, was he bad? He was really good to start the year. But then they played Washington State in a very strange game. His BYU QBR, and I love QBR. QBR is my favorite quarterback stat. I think his BYU QBR is very unfair. It was 39, but there were a lot of drops, a lot of questionable play calls. There were a lot of holdings and false starts. It was their first true road game. And I think that heavily affected his score for QBR. Now, he wasn't perfect, but I thought he was fine. He was definitely good enough for them to win that game. So for me, I think Daniels was a really good quarterback up until that point. And I know that's making excuses. I know. But still. Max Johnson's QBR was 63. I will say this, I've watched a lot of Jaden Daniels this week. Do I feel as if he is somebody that I could see being, an all SEC performer? No, I don't think that could happen just because Bryce Young, KJ Jefferson, and a bunch of other really good SEC quarterbacks are returning. I don't personally see that happening. Is it plausible, though? It's plausible. It's very plausible. If Kayshawn is your number one wide receiver, you have a good shot to put up some good numbers. Now, let me give you a little extra stat. When it comes to efficiency, okay, this blew me away when I saw this, okay? So I was chatting with one of my good analytics buddies, CFP numbers, all right? So I went through the QBR stuff. I want you right now, okay? Last year, okay, what in the football Division One, FBS, okay? Say hi to one of my high school buddies here, Matthew. Good to see you, holding it down in Shreveport. JD seems like a one-read dude, though. Makes me nervous. Kind of, most college quarterbacks are one read, right? Two read, three read stuff is a lot harder. There's not many college quarterbacks who can do that consistently well, which is kind of funny. It leads us into this next topic, okay? So there were 129 teams in the college football Power 5 FBS subdivision, right? 129, 130, whichever number it is. I don't know. It's about 129, though. Okay. On RPO plays, which is a one read play. Okay. It's essentially a one read play. You're essentially reading to see if the linebacker, sells out to stop the run, and you obviously pull it and throw it. That's one variation of an RPO. It's obviously more complex than that. But I want you to, on RPO throws, when Max Johnson decided to throw the football on RPO plays last year, in terms of efficiency, okay, EPA per play, out of 129 teams, I want you to guess where LSU ranked last year when it comes to RPO throws in terms of EPA per play. Okay. So even if you don't know what EPA is, it's basically efficiency. Where did LSU rank out of 129 teams when it comes to RPO throws? Just give it your best numerical guess with Max Johnson as a quarterback, okay, in college football. Just give it a guess, okay? Now, once again, Max Johnson wasn't, the best quarterback, so just give it a guess. Probably last, 51st, top 15. Give it a guess, and see, I might need another drink. I don't know. I normally only go one Zima. This isn't Zima, by the way. I know Danny always likes to mess with me. Creek's gonna go first. Caucus is dying at the joke of his fellow PHL t-shirt buddy. Top 20. Carey says 75th. Hey, don't hate on Truly, man. You know what's funny? A lot of those seltzers don't move the needle for me, but Haley is like all over the high noon kick. High noons are fine. About time Jared joined us. 69. Nice. Looking like a Scooby-Doo villain in HD. That's funny. Ha, ha, ha. Well, Jinkies. Ah, ah. 62nd, 69th. So on RPO plays last year in terms of EPA per play, LSU was fifth in college football. Fifth. So it makes a lot of sense. We were really good on RPOs last year. In fact, the Mississippi State game was won on RPOs. So RPO efficiency last year was really good. And I think it's because of two things. Max was a good reader of the game. I honestly thought Max read the game fine. It's just he didn't actually pull the trigger on a lot of throws. You would watch it during our film studies. Max just did not have the confidence in his arm. He didn't have the mental confidence. Sometimes I think he would read something correctly, but his elongated motion would just be too slow and he wouldn't trust it. And he just didn't play with any confidence or swagger. Um, he could read an RPO pretty well. And I also think Jack Bech was really good at RPOs, especially the slant aspect of RPOs, just sitting in an open spot and just, moving the chains. Something he was really good at. Devonta Lee's touchdown versus Central Michigan was an RPO slant. We destroyed teams on the RPO. Now, what was really interesting about LSU being fifth in the country in RPO when it comes to EPA per play, according to college football numbers, what's really interesting about that was we didn't run the football that well for a good portion of the season. So our RPO game was still good regardless of who was actually running the football and regardless of if we actually establish the run, right? So it was very interesting that a quarterback with Max who didn't have good QBR, who had long periods of inefficiency, we were fifth in the country in EPA per play on RPOs. Now, I do think a lot of that came in games early in the season when we did have Kayshawn, but we were good. We were good on RPOs. Now, what's very interesting was when I dug a little deeper into the numbers, Desmond Ritter, when it comes to EPA per play, wasn't as productive as I thought he would be. Um, and also, I looked at Notre Dame's RPO percentage. It really wasn't that high under Brian Kelly. So we'll see. I do think Jane Daniels is a really good RPO quarterback. I think that's something that he can bring to this offense. Zone read RPOs, different tags that you can have off of that. So I think LSU should look at those numbers and say, look, we didn't even establish a run, and we were still able to get a good RPO offense going. I also thought we ran the football well on RPO plays where Max decided to actually hand the football off. So if you go back and watch our Florida film study, towards the end of that game, when we weren't running counter, we started running some RPO tags off of it. And Max decided to give the football to TDP, and we were still able to consistently run the ball. And Florida was selling out for the run, and we were still able to run the football. So it's going to be interesting to see if we actually do more RPOs next year, knowing that data. So it's very interesting. PHO commenter, I love that. Huh? 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 What's up, Tracy? Wasn't and still not impressed by Ritter. And that's the interesting thing, Jared. Max wasn't a potent runner and the RPO game still worked. So I don't know if Brennan needs to be able to run in order for, the RPOs to actually work. One of the best RPO quarterbacks in the NFL last year was Tua. And, Miami, their Dolphins offense was based solely around the RPO. And Tua can't run. He could, but he's not the same athlete he once was. Channeling your inner PFT. Huh? 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 I love it. Huh? 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 Oh, that's good. I love that. I wouldn't say head and shoulders, but 23 personnel. I love it, baby. What up, Britt? It seemed like 30 minutes to get the football down the field. Mike, I tend to agree with this. Something else I was researching today, and this was something that I found to be really fascinating. Okay. So, did any of you actually hear the story about Jaden Daniels in Arizona State? So, I read this. It was on 247. And this is how sloppy Herm Edwards would get, right? Thank you, Jared. He always drops a $10 super chat. I really do appreciate you as always. I appreciate your friendship as well. Uh, okay. Let me share this story. So Jaden Daniels, it was up in the air whether or not he was going to the NFL draft or if he was going to stay an extra year at Arizona State, or was he going to enter the transfer portal? I think Herm Edwards lost that locker room and everybody was just trying to figure out what they were going to do. So Arizona State's best player last year was a running back named Rashad White. So essentially Arizona State lost their entire offense. Okay. So this is something to keep in mind. Okay. So Jane Daniels, uh, Arizona State was in heavy pursuit of Spencer Rattler. Now I didn't know this, right? But it makes sense uh, because Spencer Rattler is an Arizona native, right? And he is a really talented quarterback who was heavily rumored to be the first overall pick until Caleb Williams took over. So Spencer Rattler, of course, hits the portal and he goes to South Carolina. But one of the destinations that we would like to go to is back home with Arizona State. And Herm Edwards and Antonio Pierce, their defensive coordinator, a former great linebacker, they were watching film of Spencer Rattler. And according to 247 Sports, Jaden Daniels walked in on them watching film. Okay. How crazy is that? What's up, Max? Good to see you. So Jaden Daniels walked in on coaches watching film of a different quarterback. Okay. Now, I think that did change some things, right? So Jaden Daniels said, look, let me see if the NFL draft actually wants me. He didn't get a good report back from NFL draft evaluators. Came back to Arizona State and then decided to hit the transfer portal, essentially burning Arizona State in the process because they then stopped their pursuit of Spencer Rattler. They said, look, Jaden's back. He's going to be our guy. And Spencer Rattler went to South Carolina to go play for his old college coach. And now we are here. I was shocked when I heard that. How are you even in a scenario where a player can walk in on you watching film of another quarterback? I like Herm. I actually met Herm in Tiger Stadium. He was calling a game for ESPN. I think this was just under a decade ago, right? I like Herm, but everything about what he's done at Arizona State has been even sloppier than what has transpired with Will Wade. So it is what it is. What up, George? What's up, Max? Now there's video of his teammates clearing out his locker. And this is another thing, is the video leaked because of a player named Trevez Moore. Okay. Now, let me know if that name rings a bell to any of you. Trevez Moore. Brett says I need to get another Zika. There's a little bit left in here. I sip slow, baby. Gotta let those juices marinate. Bruce, what's up, man? Yes, Trevez Moore is a former LSU defensive end who transferred to Arizona State. He was the one that actually posted the video. Hit him with that boom. Oh, Brett's drinking bourbon tonight. I like it, man. Slow motion potion. That's good, Dan. So, yeah, the floor is open. We touched on LSU's defense. Obviously, talked the Will Wade thing. Dang, we're an hour 34 into this. I honestly felt like we were just – sometimes I won't look at the time. But, yeah, the floor is open. I am open to talking anything LSU sports. It is a glorious Saturday night. I trust God Woodward to go get us a new LSU basketball coach. I trust Kim Mulkey to win a national championship for us. I do want to bring this up really quickly. Okay. So I did this Twitter poll from earlier. Type Y for yes, type in for no. All right, Bang Hammers. Good night, man. If Will Wade remained head coach, would he have gotten LSU to an Elite Eight in the next 5 years? Oh yeah, we're losing an hour tonight. Where's the bourbon festival? I don't know anything about it. Not Bang. Jeff had a positive view of LSU basketball with Will Wade. Here's my thing, right? I think part of making a run in does the Will Wade thing have anything to do with the LSU football program? Because otherwise I couldn't give to you know what's. No, I do think actually yes, I do think part of, and we touched on this a little bit earlier. I do think part of why they fired Will Wade is to help alleviate potential NCAA sanctions towards the football program, because the notice of allegations today did tie in the football program. So we'll see. Here's another 5 for positivity. Boom! I love it. Every time Max and Jared are on the live stream, they super chat. It goes a long way. Guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Max is the NYC president of PHL. Caucus, it's not time to go to bed yet. Wait, is it Central Time Zone in VA? Or is it Eastern? I don't know. Caucus is getting ready for Selection Sunday. He's actually a big college basketball fan. So, Max, you get to pick the next topic. I think today is 95% LSU basketball, though. I don't think you should worry too much. Oh, you're ET? That's brutal, man. That's brutal. And I know you got a busy day tomorrow, what you have to do. So we will see you. Actually, I don't know if we're going to see you on a live stream. This is the busiest week of the month for college basketball fans. Connor, welcome to the channel. Good to see you, man. Creek's going to bed? All right. We'll see you Tuesday night, Creek. Good to have you back around, man. And still, Creek has a top 5 avatar, PHL. This is still one of the best avatars because, he's got his lovely dog in Tiger Stadium. And you have the LSU license plate on a glorious night in Tiger Stadium. It's so cool. Connor, welcome to the channel. Good to see you. I think, they're not going to get an elite guy. You're not going to get someone who's won a national championship. You're not going to get someone of that level. However, There's one name that I think is very interesting regarding that. I'm still looking into this if this could actually be a thing. I'm not one of those people that just likes to throw a big name out there just to do it, right? That's why quickly during the LSU search, I said, "Hey, um, Urban Meyer is not going to be the next coach at LSU," even though you know that was the number one guy that people were hitting me up about. And they're like, "Hey, could Urban Meyer actually do?" No, give Nicole. Oh, that's a tough super chat right there. Nick Hole. Really? I still can't get over how she spells that. Or she doesn't just go by Nikki. But Nick Hole. I love it. All right, Max, super chat here. You have a fourth down late in the fourth. You're going to go for it. Got Jamar and JJ on both boundaries. Who you throwing it to? Oh, come on. That's easy. Going to Jamar Chase. Uh, but Jets is never a bad option. But if it's fourth down, I'm probably going to go to Jamar Chase, which hopefully or potentially could have won the Super Bowl for the Bengals if Joe had just a little bit more time. He would have hit Jamar Chase on a walk-in touchdown. Uh, Justin Jefferson's not a bad option, but trying to remember if Justin Jefferson had any fourth down conversions in 2019. I know Jamar had a huge one for us in the first half of that Alabama game. So there you go. Easy, Jack Bash. I love it. You know, I love me some Jack Bash. You guys know Jack is one of my favorites. What about Kayshawn or JJ? I'd probably go JJ. Once again, Kayshawn, no, never a bad option. That's true. Not a bad option, either one of those guys. Look, Justin Jefferson's one of the best NFL wide receiver in his first 2 years of all time. Kayshawn has the potential to be the best of those three. Yes, I agree. I do. So there's a few things I look at when it comes to that. Uh, you know, the first thing is breakout age. So Kayshawn has dominated early in his career. Justin Jefferson did, and Jamar Chase did as well. So you look at breakout age success. Um, I think Kayshawn's also faster than both of those guys. So there's also that. Also, Kayshawn as a college dominator has arguably been more dominant than those guys with a lesser quarterback. So yeah, I could see that. I can, which is kind of scary because Jamar and Justin are the two best rookie NFL wide receivers of all time, statistically. Now, obviously, Randy Moss and, Odell Beckham has, a strong, case for that as well. So, yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think that's a hot take. I don't. Appreciate it, PHL. Foosball. I actually do like actual foosball. So there you go. slipping. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, I was slipping because I was tasked with asking, hey, do you want this guy who's one of the best SEC football players of all time, or do you want the other guy who's one of the best SEC football players of all time? They just happen to play on the same team, and they happen to be both dominating in the NFL. So which one would you rather have? Mm, 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 mm. Ah, so yeah, we are approaching 2 hours. So as always, as we approach 2 hours, I normally like to keep it around that time. We'll do this in the next 5 minutes. I'll answer as many. It doesn't have to be LSU related. I'll answer anything related to anything. I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can in the next 5. If you super chat, we'll keep this thing going. Okay. Let me take a look at the poll question here. Am I bringing but do you mean Z or Haley? Haley's going to be with me. I'm not sure if I kind of want to bring Z, but then again, this would be like her first trip. I don't know yet, Skipper. It's a good question. Let's have a potential Wade replacement review this week so we can see how they do in the tournament. Oh yeah, I didn't ask this. Would you guys like to do a bracket challenge? I know we're a football channel, so I don't know. Do you guys do a lot of March Madness bracket challenges? I love it. I love March Madness. And I'm also a college basketball fan. Here we go. Here's a good one. What do you think the scheduling is going to be like with Texas and Oklahoma joining? Okay. It's a good question. The first thing, RSX, is I think you have to do away with the 8-game conference schedule, right? I think you do. I think that's a good thing if you're an LSU fan, because I still believe, even though Tennessee is trending in the right direction and Florida's having to rebuild from scratch, I think I do think it's better for LSU to get rid of this cross division rival rule, which has helped Alabama but hurt LSU over the past decade. So I think the first thing is you will see a 9-game conference schedule. The second thing is I'm not sure if the SEC wants to do the pod system. What I think they could do is have each team have two other permanent teams that they play every year, and then they do a different scheduling match every other year, which essentially would kind of be a pod system in and of itself. I do think the pod system is the best thing RSX. Um, and I did a piece this offseason involving what those pod systems could look like. And I had the pod where LSU had Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and who is the other one? I don't remember, but yeah, I think the SEC doesn't want to go to pod system and they want to stay at an 8-game conference schedule. But I could see, I definitely think the 9-game conference schedule is going to happen. Keep it going. Have anything from Tigers to Tacos is good with me. Have I ever had Torchy's? The trailer park is awesome. Last time I was in Baton Rouge, I actually had Torchy's. It wasn't my choice. I enjoyed it though. I thought it was good. They had like a crawfish taco or something like that. I went there to go see my buddy and his wife, who just had their first kid, so it was really cool. So they invited me to dinner, and it was really cool to see them. I hadn't seen them in years, and yeah, Torchy's is fine. Is it the best taco in Baton Rouge? I don't know, because a taco and a burrito are different, right? I remember getting Izzo's burritos a lot when I was at LSU. They were good. I was trying to think what are some other good taco places. Still, thank you for the super chat, Mike. We'll keep this thing going. Do you think it might be how the Pac-12 does their schedule or how the Big 12 does their schedule? So, Lucky, I'm gonna make an admission here. I am a scheduling nerd, right? Out of anything in sports I think about the most, it's scheduling. Who you actually play and how the schedules are actually formatted. So this to me was the biggest news from the MLB lockout. They're changing how they're actually going to do their scheduling. They're changing everything, right? They're going to make it a little bit more even across the board of how scheduling actually works with Major League Baseball. So, I think that's very important. Uh, the reason why I became a scheduling, diehard is because I became a big fan of soccer, and soccer has very strict scheduling, which is good for the sport, right? You play every team an equal amount of times. Uh, so the SEC has the worst scheduling, and the Big 12, which is ironically the Big 10, has had the best scheduling up until they decided to have a championship game. The way the Big 12 does their scheduling when it only has 10 teams is you have a 9-game conference schedule and you play every team every year and you rotate once home, once away. And that to me is a real conference where you're actually playing everybody. So obviously, with 16 teams, you can't play every team every year. But because of adding the 2 extra teams, I do think we'll get a more balanced schedule. And I do think Major League Baseball is going to be better for having a more balanced schedule instead of playing, if you're the Yankees, you play 20 games versus the Red Sox and 4 games versus the Braves every year, which is stupid, right? Even it out. Have more teams play each other an equal amount of times. I think it's good. I do. So yeah, I think it will become like that, and we will see a 9-game conference schedule like you have in the Big 12 and the Pac-12. Something else that's very interesting about that, RSX, Lucky Logan, I call him RSX. That's what his name used to be on here. Is what's the NCAA even going to look like 5 years from now? What's the playoff going to look like 5 years from now? We'll see. We're still arguing about the McCollum trade. That was a great trade. Iceman Campaman. Really love your show. I must say, I really like Coach Wade, and I hope it's good to see you again, Iceman Campaman. It's been a while since you commented. Uh, we were able to do in the NCAA tournament. It's hard to make a run in the NCAA tournament if you don't. Oh, thank you for your super chat. I really appreciate it. It's hard to make a run in the NCAA tournament if you don't have a dominant point guard. And I like Pinson a lot, Eason and all those guys. Um, they've been a scrappy bunch. It's been a scrappy year. Obviously, the first part was better than the second part. We'll see. Oh, it's kind of funny because part of the title tonight was on the 16 college playoff, and I didn't touch on it because Will Wade kind of took over, you know, the discussion. So I probably should change this. We'll do a deeper playoff discussion some other time. All right, Skipper. We'll see you Tuesday. We'll have some video on Monday night. I'm not sure what exactly yet. Oh yeah, I forgot to say this. We will have a guest Tuesday night. Pretty excited about it. He is my favorite college basketball personality, and I've known him for over a decade. So you're gonna love it. He's actually like a national college basketball guy, so he knows what he's talking about. I think the playoffs should have six teams, and the top seed should play in their home stadium. I'm all for it. I think a 16 playoff would be perfect. The only issue with that, though, is, you know, the top two seeds would get buys in a 16 playoff. So would you want the first two rounds to be where, the higher seed plays at home, and then the next round, the 1 and 2 play home games, and then the finals played at a neutral site? I think that would be perfect. I would. But I doubt that's what's going to happen. So yeah. But yeah, I would like that. College sports are better when games are played on campuses. They just are. That's part of the downside, these big, conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament is that the biggest games you play as, college basketball players at the Division I level is always going to be away from your actual home building. So, we have Allen Fieldhouse in Kansas, and we got Rupp at Duke, and no, Rupp at Kentucky. You know, you play games there, and those are historic sites. It's just, you never play really any games of major, major, major consequence there. So, yeah, there you go. That's it, man. Can't lose out on that revenue, baby. Just can't do it. We got some Nico believers. I like that. Got some Nico believers in here. Once people see the light, they'll see. Oh, you mean to put 8? Oh, okay, well, that makes more sense. So when they get to 8, yeah, I do think you'll see a scenario where the top seeds get to play a playoff game in their home stadium. I also would like that because that would also incentivize teams getting into the top 4 and the elites of the elites getting that extra home gate. So there you go. Well, all right, we'll do another 5-minute warning. If we get another super chat, we'll keep this party moving. Thank you, Lucky Logan 005, with all these very nice super chats here at the end. I really appreciate you. Big Daddy. Living in North Carolina now, finally got a taste of home. If you live down here, check them out. Richland's Cajun Market, 904 Wood Drive in Richlands, North Carolina. I guess I'll check them out. Big Daddy, I'm also getting, I know you asked about it. I'm also getting another shipment of 4X shirts currently being made right now. So hit me up here in about a week or so, and I got you, man. I sold out of 4X super fast um, last time. Me and Reed are Nico believers. We are Nico believers. I think he's special. I do. I think he's really good. That kid has got some arm strength, man. Rogers and Nico believer. I love it. The top 4 would play at home. The schedule is still important because you would still want the 1 seed because everybody has to come to your place. Yeah, I mean, I think a perfect scenario would be all the playoff games just being played on campuses, but that's not going to happen. The bowl games are going to want the playoff games, right? These bowl game sponsorships are just so big, and it's crazy, right? Like these bowl game executives, they fly across the country to go to all these big games. I don't know what the purpose is of it, but they do it. And it's just amazing how much money is involved. Uh, I know a few of these bowl executives. I used to be relatively close to one of them. And look, it's amazing how much money, like where you get like a $4 million check to play in the so and so season opening kickoff or the so and so bowl. It's amazing how much these bowl sponsorships are. So yeah, Big Daddy. I'm gonna hit you up when I'm in North Carolina. I don't know when that's gonna be. I'm totally down to get some Cajun food in North Carolina. But yeah, RSX, you make a good point though, and this is why I love you so much, RSX, because you understand what it's all about when it comes to college sports, right? Playing games on your campus. It's different, and it's also an added element, right? It's so much harder to win games. Like Look, I watched Vermont beat down UMBC, and I don't even know what conference it was. And they were playing their conference tournament game at home. Now, Vermont was a far better team, but they won by like 50. And they were hitting every shot. Their home crowd was going crazy. And it's an added element, right? Yeah, I think that helps out with that. But then again, the current climate with opt out leaves the bowls almost pointless. They still want their monies, though, so they got to expand the playoff. Okay, so this is where I stand on this, right? I'm not sure how much bowls actually lose when it. I don't know how much bowls. My camera battery died. Let me change this. There you go. Regular HD. Huh? 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 I don't know how much bowls actually lose from not the star players actually playing. I just don't. I know, like, I don't know how much it actually moves the needle, but it does help the stars play from the network's vantage point. So I get your point there, Michael B. I do. Huh? 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 What do you think of the top three teams in each conference pin get their round one opponent in the NBA? Oh, Pegasus. I could go on for days on end about uh about NBA stuff. I really can. Like, I could hours talking about the NBA. Hours. Their schedule needs so much fixing. The league needs so much fixing. And what I think is happening right now, Pegasus, is, there's so much about the NBA that you got to walk on eggshells about. And man, there's so much that needs to change. Like, there really is. The schedules are just so bad. They really are. And the weirdest thing about the NBA is players finally realize that the playoffs and the regular season are not only, your regular season games just aren't as important as they once were, but your the playoffs are just a completely different game. And it's strange how, this worldwide sport that is played by, it's the second most popular sport in the world, is decided in a completely different format that no other player has ever played in before, right? You play your whole life, and it is not until you get to the pinnacle of the sport where the games are actually decided by a series of games. It's a very strange thing when you really think about it, right? Every postseason tournament that you play as a basketball player at every level is decided by a single elimination tournament. Never is it decided in a series, which is a completely different format of the game, right? There's so much surrounding it. Now, I'm not saying that the NBA should get rid of the playoffs, but number one, make the regular season matter more. Make the players care about it, or put more emphasis on it. Incentivize the regular season mattering more, so you don't have players sitting out with a sore throat, or players not deciding to play back to backs, because then that's telling fans that are paying the hundreds of dollars to go to an NBA game that your ticket is worthless. The game that you're going to is worthless. The game that you're watching is, just one in a major large data set that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, and that sucks. At least in the NFL, you can't take games off unless it's week 18 of the season and your playoff fate is already decided, right? I love the NBA. It needs fixing. And until, the powers that be see it, you got to change it. But this is the issue, is that in the NBA, the players hold all the power, right? And the players have fully guaranteed deals, and they control where they go. They have, the most favorable CBA, which is a really good thing. Um, and player movement, I think, actually is a good thing for the NBA. But, you know, you can't have the NBA be the way that it is now, and people continue to care about the regular season. I just don't think people care anymore. It still draws a rating because basketball's awesome, and star power, star brands. It's great. But, it needs a lot of fixing. It does. I wouldn't be opposed to this. Now, 12 weeks is a little aggressive, but it needs shortening. Yeah, the NBA will never cut games, so that's my money. They can restructure some, right? You can restructure things, right? You're the NBA, you hold all the power. Yeah, Roger. I mean, that was one instance where the Dolphins owner allegedly said that to a coach. But still, in the NFL, don't have as much laissez-faire nature towards the regular season. Yeah, I don't know what you do about the tanking thing, right? So, I don't know how you fix that. What I would do though is I would get creative in a lot of different ways. I would, maybe structure salaries of NBA players based on where you actually finish in the rankings, and maybe you could do something with that. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that need to be done, but I also think, restructuring the league is not one of the most important things Adam Silver worries about. I really don't. Um, but the players like where they are now. The players love their deals. Their contracts are the best in professional sports, right? Klay Thompson made $70 million in 2 seasons despite never suiting up. Fully guaranteed money, fully guaranteed. You know, the NBA contracts are better than they ever have been. It's the sweetest deal any professional athlete has. Yeah, Pegasus, and it's ironic, one of the worst teams being run right now are the Lakers. I think, they had LeBron and they had a good year of Anthony Davis, but they won that title with AD. That was a smart move, right? Get the star and then trade the young guys. But that, in the grand scheme, AD hadn't really even been that great for them. And the Westbrook deal was bad. The Carmelo Anthony deal has been meh. There's been so much just meh that they've done that, it's kind of like, what's going on? So, yeah. But all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for making this live stream so much fun. I love the NBA. Hope it worked. I hope they do rethink and restructure some things to make it better. I think it can be better. Now, don't forget Tuesday night we will have a March Madness expert on to help you fill out your brackets. He's a very great analyst. We are one day closer to spring football. I'm really excited about that. And we'll see you then. And Power Hour LSU. Boom. Hey, made taco soup tonight. It's one of my favorites. Let's go.